Hey amigos, buenos dias. This is Daniel, and in this video, I'm going to share how I went from being a broke yoga teacher with broken English coming from a third world country to where I am now, living in one of the wealthiest countries, traveling the world with my beautiful wife, having generated millions in high ticket sales, having over 10,000 students on Insight Timer, which is the biggest meditation app in the world, and more importantly, how you can also achieve your goals and your dreams if you take action in a way that feels really good and peaceful without burning out, because there are so many people and coaches out there talking about success and money, and that's all great, but for me, one of the most important things is feeling aligned and healthy and just being able to have great sleep at night and wake up feeling more energized. Now, this is not a motivational video or some kumbaya woo-woo speech. This is just my story, and maybe you can relate to it, maybe not. But either way, I'm doing this because I believe that understanding yourself is one of the most valuable things you can do. And it's something that my meditation teachers used to tell me, the Buddhist monks in Thailand, because they used to say, Daniel, your life is like a movie and your mind is like the camera through which you perceive everything. And the problem is, if your mind is stressed, anxious, busy, it's like trying to film something with a shaky camera. You're not gonna be able to see things clearly unless you want to have like a Blair Witch Project kind of life. Versus imagine if you have a great tripod and stability and a high quality lens, so you can have more stillness and you can see things clearly, even though things are always moving and changing outside, but you're not affected by them when you have inner stillness. And it also ties back to one of the most important lessons I've learned that I will share with you at the end of the video. So let's start from the beginning. That's probably the best place. I was born and raised in Bogota, Colombia, in a middle-class family, pretty normal. I was the youngest of 4 boys, and my brothers were much older than me, so there was a big gap between us. And because of that, when I was a kid, I spent most of the time on my own. I was very shy, very introverted. I spent a lot of time in the library reading books, and that shyness or that lack of confidence, it actually got worse when my parents got divorced. And that happened essentially because of money problems. My dad had a business and he went bankrupt, and they got divorced, and we lost almost everything financially, and that had a very big impact on the way I viewed money, because I hated seeing my family being broken due to money and financial stress. And I remember seeing my mom just working her ass off and feeling afraid of not having enough. So in my mind, subconsciously, money got connected to suffering. So not the healthiest belief and not the healthiest way to grow up thinking about money, and maybe you can relate to that. And then as a teenager, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any mentors or role models, so because I enjoyed reading and writing, I decided to go to uni and study philosophy and literature, and I wanted to become a teacher. But of course, teachers don't make much money, especially in Colombia, so I was broke. I was still living with my mom and I had no money. And then something happened that changed everything. To make a long story short, I was almost killed in my hometown in Bogota. One night, I was biking near my mom's place. I was going to visit a friend, and I was crossing a bridge, and suddenly a guy came out of nowhere wanting to rob me. And he ended up stabbing me in the back, literally, with a screwdriver, right here under my left shoulder blade. And everything happened so quickly that I didn't even feel the pain at first because of the adrenaline. And somehow I managed to kick him away and get back on the bike and escape. And while I was pedaling, just trying to survive, I remember thinking to myself, this is it. This is my last night. This is how it ends for me, just getting stabbed with a screwdriver on the streets of Bogota. But I kept pedaling until I found a small shop. And I went inside because they had a big mirror inside, and I wanted to see what had happened. I had a jacket and I took that off, and there was blood everywhere. It was very messy. And in that shop, in the middle of nowhere, in Bogota, there were 2 angels that saved me. 2 interns from a local hospital who saw me and they saw I was bleeding, and they came up to me. They wanted to help and they said, "Hey, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. It's not too deep. You're gonna be fine." They were trying to reassure me, but the reality was that the stab with the screwdriver had been very deep because it pierced my lung and I was bleeding internally. And when your lung gets pierced, typically you have 30 or 40 minutes before a respiratory attack, and that's it, you're done. Because the blood starts going into the lung, and also the air from outside starts compressing the lung, so you have less space and less ability to breathe. And it's a horrible feeling, because imagine you want to breathe to stay calm, but it's like each breath is killing you. So it's an awful feeling, and I started to faint. And when that happened, they took me on a taxi to their hospital. And when we got there and we went straight into emergency surgery, there was no time for anesthesia or anything. They just put me on an operations table and they closed the wound on the back, and then they cut me open here because they had to stick a tube between my ribs to drain all the blood that had gone into my lung. And I still have the scar to this day. And I was fully conscious and awake throughout the entire operation. And while I was there in this excruciating pain, suddenly time stopped and I had a spiritual awakening, and I could see myself floating above my body, and I could see everything and everyone covered in light, everything just shining. And I could see the doctors and the nurses, and they looked like angels. And I could see my own body, and every cell in my body was shining, radiating energy. And that's when everything clicked and I realized, wow, this is a miracle. Life is a blessing. Every breath is a gift, and we are all spiritual beings. So I still get goosebumps thinking about it because it's true. And thankfully the operation was a success, and here I am, alive to tell the tale. And what's funny is that after that, my mom came to the hospital. They called her, but she didn't know what had happened. And so she came into the room and she saw me with this tube between my ribs, and she was shocked. And she was asking me what happened. And I remember I was actually smiling. And I was so grateful, and I was telling her, "Wow, Mom, this is amazing. We're alive. This is a blessing. Every breath is a gift." And she was looking at me like, "What on earth did you smoke? Like, what are you on? You got stabbed with a screwdriver, you almost died, and you're smiling?" But anyways, that was the moment when I discovered the power of real gratitude. And that's when I started getting into meditation. And I remember feeling so much love and gratitude for everyone, and especially feeling a lot of compassion for the guy who stabbed me, because thanks to him, I discovered my spiritual path. And maybe you can relate to this when you look back at your own life in hindsight. The biggest traumas or tragedies can become your greatest blessings, right? And I think that's one of the reasons I've been able to be successful in sales, because of my ability to remain calm and grounded regardless of what happens on the outside. And that is one of the biggest problems I see with high-ticket closers or entrepreneurs, because they are burned out, anxious, stressed, running on energy drinks, they don't sleep well, they're struggling inside their head, even with depression, because their nervous system is fried from all the cortisol and the adrenaline of taking sales calls and being on all the time. And they don't know how to find that inner stillness, when it's just a skill that you can learn with the right guidance. And by the way, if you're watching this and you feel like you would like to learn how to be more calm and focused, I've actually created a free community where I share my own meditations and trainings. I also do weekly sessions and Q&As, and we've had some incredible case studies of closers who've been able to overcome burnout and anxiety. So you can find the link somewhere below in the description if you want to join, and it's free. So after that near-death experience, I went deeper into meditation, and I actually got a scholarship to study meditation with the Buddhist monks in Thailand. And I did many retreats with them, going very deep into mindfulness and spirituality. And when you are in that environment and you're meditating 8 or 10 hours a day, it's like a boot camp for your mind. And you start seeing things differently, and essentially rewiring your brain and your entire nervous system because of the benefits of meditation. And this is proven by many scientific studies that meditation changes your brain. It improves neuroplasticity. So no matter what happens in my life now, even if I'm stressed or jet lagged or whatever is going on the outside, every morning when I wake up, even before I open my eyes, I just smile and I'm grateful. And that is how my brain is rewired now after studying meditation with the Buddhist monks. And then I was able to get another scholarship to do my master's in psychology and movement therapy in London. And that's when I started connecting meditation with also science and clinical psychology. And I started working at my university library, among other odd jobs, just trying to make ends meet as an immigrant student in London. I had a big problem because I was still broke. So eventually I got a job offer to move to Qatar near Dubai to work as a wellness consultant. I didn't know anything about the country, but I just followed my intuition. I went for it and I've been here for 8 years now. So far so good. And I was finally able to create financial stability until COVID. And 2020, my contract got terminated. So I lost my job and I was stuck in the Middle East and I didn't know what to do next. And that is when I went on Google and I searched how to make money online. And I tried different things until I found remote high ticket sales. I had no clue what I was doing initially and I started from the bottom, doing cold calling as a setter, selling $47 copywriting courses and gradually climbing through the ranks, becoming a closer, eventually a sales manager as well, and generating millions in revenue. I was even interviewed by Jeremy Miner on his podcast when I became the top producer at an 8-figure company. Even though I'm not the best closer in the world, but I know how to manage my energy and emotions, and turns out those meditation skills are very useful in sales because I believe that sales is a transmission of energy and confidence, and prospects can feel when you are calm and grounded and they trust you more. So I started learning from other mentors, investing a lot in my development, practicing like crazy, applying everything I knew from meditation into my sales calls, and it worked. I started closing 10K, 20K deals. I got offered to manage bigger teams with 8 and 9-figure founders. I also started mentoring other closers and working outside high ticket sales, getting into private equity. I also work with an investment firm out of London doing bigger deals in mergers and acquisitions. And more importantly, I just feel good and aligned and peaceful, and I get to travel the world with my wife. And of course, life is not perfect. And in a way, I'm still that shy Colombian kid with a weird accent, you know? I'm not like some of those online coaches with a sexy British accent or like a James Bond kind of look. No, I'm just a bald Colombian dude, although, well, my wife thinks my bald head is sexy, so that's what matters to me. But yeah, I'm nothing special. I just stayed consistent. I focused on taking action, getting better every day, working on myself, finding mentors and applying what they said. So if you're watching this and you're not getting the results you want, or you're going through stress, anxiety, even depression, one of the biggest lessons from the Buddhist monks is that every moment is a new beginning. And even the most advanced meditators, when they sit down to practice, they always imagine it's their first time. Just that curiosity. So if you are burned out or stressed, remember that each moment, each conversation, each sales call is a new experience, and you can learn how to reset your mind and your nervous system so you can be more present, not just with your prospects, also with your family and the people around you. You don't have to be the smartest or the most charismatic. You just need to master the basics, your emotions, your energy, and just keep taking daily actions with the right habits. So whether you're just starting out in sales or you've been doing this for a few years, or you're just trying to figure out your next chapter in business and life, and you know that you are not tapping into your full potential, just remember that, as cheesy as it may sound, we are all spiritual beings and everyone has the ability to connect with their own wisdom. And ultimately, you are capable of way more than you can imagine. So That's it. If you liked the video, you can tell your friends. If you didn't like it, you can tell your enemies. Anyways, spread the word. And if you want to learn more about mindset and sales, you can subscribe, leave a comment below. If you've gone through a similar experience, maybe you've had a near-death moment yourself, you can share your story. And if you want to go deeper, check out the free community below. We do meditations, breath work. I have masterclasses on nutrition, how to improve your sleep, even investment and how to manage your finances. I was actually talking to one of my students the other day because he is a sales manager for a big company with Tony Robbins, of all people. And he had a problem before working with me because he was stressed, he was burning out, and he was almost addicted to energy drinks. And he was suffering from insomnia. He was drinking like 3 of those a day. And after joining our group, he was able to go from 3 energy drinks daily to 0, just with breathwork, meditation, good habits, and good accountability. And as a result, his income skyrocketed. So it's just an example of what can happen when you do the inner work with the right guidance. So if you'd like to join, you can find the group below. It's free and it's fun. But anyways, have a great day and see you soon.